Two teams of researchers recorded 932 conversations, then asked everyone one blunt question. When did you actually want this to end? The conversations almost never ended when both people wanted them to. Not sometimes, almost never. Two humans standing in the same spot, both quietly wishing they were somewhere else, and neither one able to leave. So here is the move, before anything else, because you clicked to escape a real doorway, and I'm not going to make you wait for it. You say the one thing everyone hides. I've got about 2 more minutes. That's it. That single line hands the other person the exact piece of information they cannot guess on their own. Your timing. You stop hinting. You stop drifting toward the door hoping they notice. You just say it, out loud, plainly, and the whole thing starts to land. And I know that sounds too small to fix something that feels this heavy, but look at how big the hidden gap actually is. In those studies, the average distance between when a conversation ended and when someone wanted it to end was about half the length of the whole conversation. Half. You could cut most talks clean in two and land exactly where both people were already hoping to be. You didn't, because the wanting stayed invisible. Everyone kept their own exit a secret, waiting for a sign that never came. And it's not just the moments when you both want out. The talks rarely ended even when just one person was quietly done, one of you fully checked out, and still it kept going. So this isn't a rare glitch that happens on a bad day. It's the default setting of almost every conversation you have ever had, running silently underneath the small talk. That's also why the fake excuse is the wrong instinct. You don't need a better story about a meeting or a text that never arrived. The awkwardness was never a lie problem. It was a coordination problem, and the fix is information, not fiction. Which raises the strange part. If the answer is just to say the true thing, why is it almost impossible to say?
Yeah, so here's the ugly little mechanism underneath it, Tom. A conversation looks like a shared thing, but it's really two private things pretending to be one. You know exactly when you want to leave. You have no idea when they do. And people don't just misjudge that gap a little. They underestimate how different their partner's wish is from their own. So you assume you're roughly in sync, give or take a minute, and you politely wait for them to move first. They're doing the identical thing back at you. Two people, each guarding a secret, each convinced the other one is enjoying this more. And the darkest part is that it held with total strangers and with people's own closest friends and family alike. It wasn't shyness with someone new. Your own mother was trapped in that doorway right next to you.
Huh. Okay, so it's not rudeness. It's arithmetic, which flips the whole feeling of it. When you finally name your timing, you're not being blunt or cold. You're being generous. You're the first one in the room, brave enough to switch the lights on so both of you can actually see the ground. But naming your timing is the heart of it, not the whole body. There's a shape around it, and the shape is old. We don't end conversations with a single word. We end them with a small sequence, a landing pattern with a few steps, and every step you skip makes the exit feel worse. The first step is the one almost everyone skips. A topic has a body, and you cannot leave in the middle of that body without it landing like a slap. So before you go, you close the topic off. Someone's telling you about their sister's new job. Instead of jumping to, okay, bye, you round it out. Sounds like she really landed on her feet. You complete the thought instead of dropping it mid-air. Now the talk feels finished, not abandoned. Then comes the softest signal in the language, a pre-closing. Anyway, well, it's been really good to talk. These throwaway words are doing real work, a quiet knock on the door that says, gently, we might be near the end. And the beautiful thing is what it hands the other person, a choice. They can meet you there and start landing too, or they can say, oh wait, one more thing, and pull the topic back up. Either way, you've stopped guessing. The invisible wish is finally on the table, and now you're deciding together instead of both bluffing. Watch what happens right after that knock, because it tells you which exit you're in. If they soften, yeah, this was lovely, and reach for their bag, they've aligned. The soft exit is on, and you glide in easy. Most of the time that's exactly what happens, because they were standing in the same doorway you were, praying you'd go first. But sometimes they miss it and launch into a brand new story, and this is where people cave and stay another 20 minutes. You don't have to. You just move from a hint to a fact. I'm going to pause you there because I really do need to go. That's not a lie, and it's not a fake phone buzzing in your pocket. It's the same private timing from before, said one notch firmer, because the gentle version didn't land. And notice where the actual goodbye sits in all this. It comes last. It's the final step, not the opening one. That's exactly why ghosting feels so brutal. When you jump straight from a live topic to simply vanishing, you've skipped the entire sequence. The goodbye was supposed to arrive after the closing work was done. Skip the work, and even a friendly disappearance lands like a small wound, because you left the topic open, mid-sentence, mid-air. There's one more trap, though. The sneaky one that keeps you pinned for another 10 minutes after you thought you were free. You signal the exit, and then you ask one more question. Oh, how's your dad doing, by the way? and you've just torn up your own landing pattern. A fresh question after an exit cue reopens the whole thing. You were on the ground and you took right off again. If you genuinely want to keep the thread alive, don't reopen it, park it, tell me how it ends next time. That honors the interest without dragging the whole conversation back into the air.
And Tom, I think this is where people feel like something is wrong with them, so I want to name what's actually happening in your body. Leaving pulls on two needs at once, and they fight each other. One is the pull toward connection, to stay warm, to not reject anyone, to keep the other person feeling wanted. The other is the pull toward your own freedom, the plain need to go live your life. Every single exit squeezes both of those at the same time, which is why a clumsy goodbye can feel like a tiny betrayal even when nothing bad happened. That tension isn't a flaw in you. It's the cost of caring and being free in the same moment. That's also why one small step matters more than any clever line, a bit of warmth. Right before the final word. This was really good. I'm glad we talked. Then you go. That warmth isn't decoration. It's carrying the whole meaning of the exit. It's the thing that tells the other person you're leaving the conversation, not leaving them.
So the whole shape fits in one hand. Close the topic, signal you're near the end, say your timing out loud, add that bit of warmth, then actually go. That's the clean exit, just the honest version of what everyone in the room already secretly wanted. But the shape flexes depending on where you're standing, which is why one memorized script never survives contact. On the phone, you've got a specific problem. There's no body. In person, you can stand up, reach for your coat, drift toward the door, and your body quietly does half the closing for you. On a call, none of that reaches the other person. They can't see you edging away. So a phone call almost always needs an explicit final line, spoken out loud, because the physical cue that usually does the work simply isn't in the room. At work, it changes again. That conversation isn't really about warmth, it's about a task, so you close it like a task, a quick summary, and a next step. Okay, so you'll send the file and I'll review it tomorrow. One move, and it finishes the business and hands off the baton at the same time. Nothing left hanging for either of you to circle back to. And in a group, you get the easiest exit there is, though most people never clock why. One-on-one, when you leave, the conversation dies, and some part of you feels responsible for that little death. In a group, it doesn't die, it just keeps going without you. So you can slip out with far less ceremony, because you're not ending anything. You're only removing yourself from something that runs fine without you. The weight you feel leaving a group is almost entirely imaginary. There's one place where every bit of this stops applying, and you need to hear it clearly. All of it has been about smoothness, protecting the other person's feelings, protecting the thing between you. But when your safety is involved, smoothness is not the goal anymore. A warm, well-sequenced exit is a luxury for conversations that are merely tedious. If a conversation is threatening, you do not owe it a pre-closing. You do not owe it appreciation. You leave, directly, immediately, without the ritual. The whole art of the graceful exit assumes you're safe enough to be graceful. When you're not, drop the art and go. And keep this loose, because these are patterns, not laws. Not every culture closes a conversation with the same little words and the same rituals. The landing pattern is a shape you bend to the moment, never a line you recite at it. If a memorized phrase ever fights what the moment actually needs, trust the moment. There are 100 ways to make an invisible wish visible. Because that was the real thing the whole time. Think back to that number, half. On average, half of a conversation is time neither person truly wanted to spend, and yet it happened, over and over, only because two polite people each assumed the other one was happy. Multiply that across every meeting, every phone call, every goodbye that somehow took 9 minutes to happen. That's an enormous amount of a life spent being polite to someone who was also just being polite to you. You don't have to spend it that way anymore. Not because you've learned to be cold, but because you've learned to be honest one moment sooner, to say the small true thing out loud, and let both of you land. The graceful exit was never about escaping the other person. It was only ever about telling the truth about time, a little earlier than fear wants you to.